Well, the United States has announced it will impose a further 25% tariff on Indian exports in response to New Delhi's continued purchase of Russian oil and weapons. It means the levy on certain goods will now rise to 50%, with India calling the move unjustified and unreasonable. For more on this, I'm joined by Professor Brahma Chellaney from the Center for Policy Research in New Delhi. Brahma, good to have you back on the program. Now, how does India view the fact that the US predicated these increased tariffs to India buying Russian oil?
If the secondary sanctions against India in the form of 25% additional tariffs had anything to do with the Russian energy purchases, would Trump have spared China and the European Union? China is the world's the biggest importer of Russian oil and gas, and the European Union is a major buyer of Russian energy products, especially LNG. In fact, the European Union contributes more to Russia's coffers than India does through its oil imports. But singling out India is deliberate. It's deliberate because this hasn't much to do with Russian oil. This economic war that Trump has launched on India has everything to do with his drive to strong-arm India into accepting a one-sided a trade deal on his terms. It's because of Indian resistance that Washington is exerting mounting pressure on New Delhi. But it's very unlikely that India will succumb to this kind of pressure.
Yes, and what do you think perhaps was Trump's personal message to Prime Minister Narendra Modi when they did meet quite some time ago?
Trump and Modi have had a close relationship, personal rapport that has underpinned the growing bilateral relationship. The first term of Trump was the best period in US-India relations. The US-India relationship flourished in Trump's first term. Ironically, in second term, things have gone downhill, and everybody is at a loss to understand why. What has prompted Trump, for example, to declare economic war on India? Even though he still calls Modi my dear friend, yesterday he referred to him as a terrific person, yet he has singled out India. And the irony is this, that India is now being punished more harshly than China. India had been quoted by successive US administrations as a counterweight to Chinese expansionism. And today, it's India that has been singled out, not the world's largest importer of Russian oil and gas, which is China. And the weaponization of tariffs against India, as I mentioned, has little to do with Russian oil. It's everything to do with Trump's narrow commercial objectives. He is using the trade deal to suborn India. He wants a trade deal on his terms, and in fact, under the trade deal, he's also including geopolitical and foreign policy objectives, not just in relation to India, but even in relation to some other countries. He is using trade as a blunt instrument.
Yes, and do you think then Donald Trump has seriously risked that notion you were talking about, that India acts as that counterbalance to China's rise and influence, particularly in the region?
India is the world's fastest growing major economy. It's a huge market that has become increasingly important for American exporters, given China's sputtering economic growth engine and deepening demographic crisis. The US needs India as an economic and geopolitical ally, especially if it's to prevail in its sharpening rivalries with China and Russia. This explains why there is bipartisan support in Washington for closer ties with India. Successive presidents since Bill Clinton have cultivated closer ties with India. So what Trump is doing, he's damaging both the economic interests of the US, as well as America's own Indo-Pacific strategy. The US-India strategic partnership holds the key to counterbalancing China's hegemonic ambitions and maintaining the balance of power in the Indo-Pacific region. As everybody knows, the Indo-Pacific region is the world's emerging economic and geopolitical hub. The new world order will be determined not in Europe, not in the Middle East, but in the Indo-Pacific, which is the reason why Trump is seeking to end the Ukraine war so that he could refocus American power in the Indo-Pacific. In fact, he wants to break the Sino-Russian strategic axis, which has emerged since the Russian invasion of Ukraine. But ironically, today, Trump is impelling India to seek a thaw with China as a hedge against American unpredictability. This is a twist of irony that, on one hand, he is working to break the China-Russia axis. On the other hand, he is forcing India to diversify and seek partnerships, including seeking a thaw with its adversary, China. And I think Trump is damaging America's long-term interests just because he's seeking to achieve short-term commercial objectives.
Yes. And do you think that Prime Minister Narendra Modi, do you think he will embark on some sort of retaliation? Does he need to do that?
It's a key question. In Trump's first term, when Trump stripped India of GSP trade status and slapped tariffs on Indian aluminum and steel exports, the Modi government retaliated by imposing counter tariffs. And those counter tariffs then forced the US to negotiate with India. And eventually, during the Biden presidency, the two countries reached a deal and each rolled back their respective punitive actions. So far, Modi has done nothing. He has only issued strong statements. If he doesn't respond to what Trump is doing, Trump has effectively declared economic war on India. And if Modi's actions don't go beyond strong words, his image at home would take a beating.
Yes, we'll see what that response might be like if it does materialize in the days and weeks to come. Brahma Chellaney, really appreciate your analysis on the program. Thank you so much.
Okay.